I am Cynthia Soul, Account Director for Retail and Consumer Goods at Microsoft. In my role, I work with leading companies in to harness the power of data and AI and for transformative business growth. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce Diana Schildhouse, Executive Vice President and Chief Analytics and Insights Officer at Colgate-Palmolive. Diana has been a driving force behind Colgate's data-driven culture and AI initiatives. She brings a wealth of experience. We've been chatting behind, and she brings a wealth of experience and a deep understanding of how data and analytics can drive innovation and growth in today's rapidly changing environment. So I'm really excited to be chatting with her today because her insights will be invaluable. But before we begin, I just want to take a quick poll of the audience. I bet you didn't think that you guys would be the ones answering questions today. So if we can just do a quick show of hands, if your organization has started integrating, is it working properly? Okay. If your organization has started integrating AI into its business processes, a quick show of hands. Okay, few of us. Okay. I see a maybe. Okay. What about a quick show of hands if your company has a dedicated team or an officer responsible for data analytics and insights? Okay. Okay. So I think what we're going to be talking about today would definitely be valuable and ringing a bell. So amazing. So in our conversation today, Diana and I will explore how to establish a data-driven culture, the importance of upskilling and executive buy-in for successful transformation, as well as integrating AI into traditional business processes. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Diana Schildhouse.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you. It's great to be here today. All right.
Perfect. Diana, thank you for joining us today. Yeah. So let's start with your journey at Colgate. Colgate-Palmolive has been on a transformative journey, right? With data at its core. Could you share the pivotal moments that accelerated the adoption of a data-driven culture within the company?
Yeah, great. So I've been at Colgate-Palmolive for about 3 years now. And really, as we were embarking on our data and analytics transformation, it started with linking data and analytics to the overall enterprise strategy. So they are called out as key strategic enablers in our formal company strategy. And that senior support from the top really set the stage on what we were trying to accomplish as far as becoming data-driven in all of the ways that Colgate operates, makes decisions, creates and innovates products, and engages with our consumers. So setting that stage from the beginning was really critical to driving that transformation. I would also add that recognizing how important culture is to driving a transformation with data and analytics and AI is also critical. So you need the data, you need the tech. These are the table stakes. But if you're not driving and embedding that culture in the company, which is actually about changing how people operate, make decisions, embed AI and analytics in the way that the rhythm of their business runs from day to day, you're not really driving that transformation to the full extent that you can. So those were really key in how we approached this at Colgate-Palmolive.
Yeah. No, thank you. Culture is definitely really important as a top priority when something like that is when you're trying to effectuate change, for sure. So as a leader in analytics and insights, what strategies have you found most effective in fostering data leadership at Colgate? And how do you use these strategies to align with the company's broader goals in the AI space?
Yeah, I'd say there are 3 areas where we think about how to bring this to life and tie this to the strategy and what really helps to drive that culture. So the first is really that senior level support, and it has to start really from the top down. So at Colgate-Palmolive, it starts with our CEO. Our full leadership team has taken all of the upskilling and training courses that we've provided. I'll talk about those in a second. They support the message that data and using data and analytics and AI is actually part of everyone's job in the company, no matter what department you're in or where you sit around the world. It's not just the job of the data and analytics team. So that senior level support is really a critical part of instilling that culture. And then you mentioned, Cynthia, the importance of upskilling. And so, when we embarked on this transformation a few years ago, and now with the advent of generative AI in the past year, we knew we really needed to bring everyone along on this journey in the company. We needed to bring, these new skills to everyone so they actually could embed it in the culture and their ways of operating. So we created a bespoke data literacy and analytics academy that really reached all of our salaried and professional employees. So this was rolled out to about 16,000 people around the company that participated around the world. Colgate operates in more than 200 countries around the world. So really truly global scale to this. And, it was the reason I think it was so successful. It actually won an external award, which we were very proud of, along with our HR learning team, which was really a driving force in this, was that it was not one size fits all. So it was curated. It started with everyone taking an assessment of sort of where they were starting at in their own journey and understanding of some of these concepts. And then depending on how you scored in that, which was only visible to you, we just saw it at an aggregated level. There were certain courses that were recommended based on your maturity level, where you sit in the business. Are you a marketer? Are you in our supply chain organization? And we had a lot of enthusiasm around that. We actually had people earning badges, so we decided to motivate people through that and found that it was actually quite inspiring for our folks to be able to take courses, earn badges, post them on LinkedIn. And again, that senior support really helped to foster that because our senior team was liking and engaging on those posts, and it really became this virtuous cycle of learning in the company.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing to have it tailored based on, how long they've been at the company, their roles. Just kind of helps drive that learning experience and culture. So Colgate adopts a use case driven approach to analytics. Can you discuss how this approach has applied to a specific domain, such as revenue management growth or marketing and media effectiveness, and the impact it has had?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So our strategic approach to using data and analytics and AI was what we called a use case driven approach. That is opposed to a tech first approach, which is really, sort of chasing this shiny object and figuring it out later how it can solve a business problem. We started from the business problems and our strategy and what we were trying to accomplish and what the burning questions were for our teams. And then prioritization was key to that too. So we looked across areas of the company where we knew that applying advanced technologies, AI, the use of data, could really move the needle for the company in a significant way. And we focused there. And two of them were two that you mentioned. So for a CPG company, RGM, or revenue growth management, which is really about pricing, promotion, assortment, is a big lever for us as a company and one where we focused first. And the second was marketing and media effectiveness, and digital media, how we're engaging with consumers, and also innovating in products. So those were the two areas that we chose to focus in first. With RGM, I'll just speak a little bit about some of the results we've seen. So it's really about giving our teams on the ground quick access to make decisions real time at a SKU level, at a tactic level, faster than they were ever able to before. So it's really about empowering our employees all around the world to use these tools to make better decisions. For this, our approach was actually building proprietary in-house analytics tools. So we knew that we needed to achieve global scale in what we were doing since we're in so many countries around the world. And so we have an in-house team of scientists and other analytics professionals that built these proprietary models, and it enabled us to scale and also to customize to the different dynamics across Colgate markets around the world. In marketing and media effectiveness, so this is our other critical use case, and also one in which the landscape is changing so rapidly. So here we knew we needed to really keep up with next generation approaches, It includes, of course, things like marketing mix modeling, but also more advanced and newer analytics around areas like retail media and CRM and first-party data and clean rooms. So really looking holistically across the media and marketing landscape and applying advanced techniques to, again, just make it easier for our teams on the ground to understand how to set a budget and allocate between channels and levers across that and reach our consumers in the right way at the right time with the right content. And in MME, we're or what we call MME, marketing and media effectiveness. We use a combination of in-house tools built within Colgate by our data scientists, and also we work with partners as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. So you touched on this a little bit, kind of talking about like the outcomes and success with revenue growth management and MME, as we call it at Colgate. So success in AI and analytics are often quantified in business outcomes. Can you discuss how Colgate measures the success of its data and AI initiatives?
Yeah, and this is an area that I am very passionate about because if in the end, if we're not creating value for the company in what we're trying to do in data and analytics and AI, it's again just tech for tech's sake, and it's not actually driving company growth. So this is a discipline that we've embedded across the organization. We measure in a few different ways. So ultimately, it has to be a tangible business outcome that we're getting by applying these technologies. So that could be revenue dollars, incremental growth. That can be cost optimization, looking at how to best allocate an existing budget, cost avoidance if we're bringing in-house tools that we used to have to engage with external vendors on, time saved, efficiency through using things that weren't available to our teams before. So there's a mix of different metrics, hard metrics that we use to measure the outcomes and the value that's created. Then I'd say there are softer metrics like things like adoption, embedding, usage, how often our tools are used. And just, adoption and scale are so key with all of these. So we look at those as well. I think depending on what business you're in or what industry, those metrics that you look at in terms of determining value can vary. But the key thing is just to understand what matters to your business and embed that discipline of saying, okay, we're using AI to do this activity. What happened as a result? What decision was made differently? What decision was made more quickly? And what's the value of that to the company? So that's been a big focus area and one where we've seen the value of the AI and data and analytics work we've been doing the last few years.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Okay, so all this talk of AI, right? We know that most people are resistant to change. Change can be daunting. And now we have the revolution of AI. And with AI, either people are scared of it or don't know what to do with it. So how has Colgate approached the upskilling of its workforce to prepare for the AI revolution? And what role has executive buy-in played in this strategic initiative?
Yeah, and AI has been around for a long time. And I think that's what, with all the hype of this past year around Gen AI, we did a lot of education within the company around what we call traditional AI and machine learning, which is exactly what's been powering all the work we've been doing for the last several years. And the difference between that and generative AI, which actually opens up a whole host of different use cases and opportunities. So yeah, anytime something new comes out, there can be skepticism or just, folks might not feel like they can really understand and all the jargon and lingo. So we do a lot to demystify that. And anytime our teams are speaking about this internally, we just speak like a human about these. And I think when you get into the technical buzzwords and you're trying to explain to someone in the business, and they don't understand how to use it, ultimately, if they're not going to use the things we're creating, we're not adding the value we need to. So demystifying the lingo, I think, is really key to that. And that's part of the education that we do. So, we want to empower our employees to be able to experiment safely with Gen AI and be able to, look at different areas where it may affect their team or their daily productivity. We have strategic use cases that we're driving at the enterprise level around generative AI specifically, but that, you can also really move the needle for the company by giving your employees, the freedom to experiment, again, in a safe way. Once they've gotten comfortable with the concepts, the ethical guardrails and guidelines around that. And that's all part of the education that we've done. So we've rolled out training courses around Gen AI specifically, things like prompt engineering, but also, again, ethics. Want to make sure that any use of AI is consistent with Colgate's values. And then we've sort of unleashed them on some tools that we've built internally. We have an internal AI hub that gives them access to some of the leading LLMs, and they can experiment in a safe place. But I think it's really about bringing people along and empowering them and giving them that basic knowledge to feel comfortable, like they can go experiment with these things. And that's where we've been seeing some success so far.
Yeah, you have to bring people along in this journey for sure. All right, so I understand that you've watched the Barbie movie 3 times and loved
I have,
it.
probably more than 3 now.
Okay, so in the marketing campaign for the Barbie movie, they did incorporate AI, right, in several innovative ways. The integration of AI was key in the marketing strategy and in the virality of the movie. So when we're thinking about AI and the future of marketing, looking at the AI revolution from a marketing perspective, what role do you see AI playing in the future of marketing leadership and innovation at Colgate?
Yeah, it's an exciting role. And I'll say the reason Cynthia said that is before Colgate, I was at Mattel in this same role. So I worked with Barbie and all the Mattel brands for many years. And I have seen the movie probably more than 3 times.
I was going to ask. I'm sure the counter is still going.
Yeah, I mean, I think the future is really exciting for marketers. And if you think about all the different ways that Gen AI specifically can impact your day-to-day as marketers, the directions that your company can head, there's so much possibility right now. And I think areas like things we look at around AI-generated content, personalized content at scale, PDPs or product detail pages. So there are a lot of areas within marketing and digital at Colgate where we're at various points in the spectrum, from early experimentation to pilots to some that we're already scaling, and we've seen some success. But I see you always need people in the loop. So humans have to be in the loop of any use of AI. And so for marketers, if you think about a tool that can help you unleash more creativity or have more time for creativity because some of the maybe lower value ad tasks can be done through AI. This is really, I think, where the future is. And it's about moving past the hype, though, and looking at, again, what are the problems you're trying to solve? What's your strategy? What are your focus areas? And then looking at how you can apply AI to solve those versus just sort of starting with AI and tech first and trying to back into a business problem later.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. I like that you have such a structured approach in the way that you use AI in your leadership at Colgate. So, Diana, we know you have a golden doodle named Bagel.
I do.
And enjoy taking walks with him. Can you share how these walks help you unwind and perhaps inspire new ideas in your work with data and analytics?
I love that question because I do have a golden doodle and his name is Bagel. And I'm actually from California. I moved to New York a few years ago. We had Bagel before that, and we said now he's a New York Bagel. He was always meant to move to New York. But that's such a great question because I just had a leadership summit for my global analytics and insights leaders the last 2 days. So they flew in from around the world. We were here, strategizing, celebrating progress. And one of the things that we did was a component around personal well-being and how you sort of find those moments to recharge and get creative juices flowing and be energized. And that was actually an example I gave yesterday when we were all sharing, was around getting outside, getting fresh air. And sometimes your best ideas can come, for me, when I'm out walking the dog and not sitting in front of my computer screen on the, work from home days. So I find that those are the times when, you're out of the day to day and you really got to think about this is such a fast moving field. And, I talked about the education that we're doing across the company. I mean, that goes for me and my team too. It's changing so rapidly. We have to have this continuous learning culture and be open to saying there are new things coming out every day and we all have to be along for this ride and upskilling ourselves. And so some of those ideas do come when I'm out with bagel.
I can imagine. I love golden doodles. All right. So, as someone who enjoys reading, could you share a book? It could be recent, it could be old, it could be one that you aspire to read that has had a significant impact on your thinking about data, leadership, or business strategy.
I'll share one it's not specifically about data leadership, but more leadership overall. So I started my career at the Walt Disney Company, and Bob Iger's book, which is called The Ride of a Lifetime, was a leadership book that I read a couple years ago. And I took so many lessons from that. It felt so, he sits at the helm of a major media empire. And there were so many just real world examples to me that I felt were so relevant around just sort of relating to your teams, setting a clear vision. Clarity of vision and strategy is so important in the data and analytics field as well as in any field. And I think we've heard the stat around you have to repeat a message 7 times for it to be truly absorbed. There were a lot of lessons in that as well around clarity of communication, repetition, so that everyone knows where you're headed, how what they're doing ladders up to the overall strategy. And that's something that we employ at Colgate to, again, when you're operating in a company in over 200 countries around the world, having that clear strategy for data and analytics and AI has to be something that everyone understands the role that they play in it. So that was a lesson I'd say I learned from that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love just hearing what books are inspiring the leaders that I talk to in this space. If we were to do this again 10 years from now, and this is just an opinion question, what's your prediction for the future of data, AI, and analytics?
So 10 years from now, my AI hologram will sit here and do this discussion, and maybe I'll be on the beach somewhere.
And maybe my hologram too.
No, 10 years from now, it's hard to even think about, even 5 years from now, but I think this, what's happening with Gen AI is, this one's not just hype, and I think, of course, there are hype cycles with any new technology that comes out, but what's really exciting about Gen AI is how accessible it is to everyone. So with traditional AI and machine learning, which, I'm sure all of your companies have been doing as well, you need data scientists, you need people who can write algorithms, who can code in Python to really engage with that type of AI. And then business users just sort of receive it, on the front end. With Gen AI, this is actually something that is so accessible to everyone, and that everyone can play a role in. Everyone can experiment with it and use it. And I think the adoption will become so widespread across just the way that we all operate, how our companies are operating. I think it will be truly transformative.
Yeah. No, that's really awesome, and completely agree. So thank you, Diana, for sharing your invaluable insights with us today. It has been definitely an enlightening conversation. Before we conclude, I would like to leave the audience with a question to ponder. How can you, in your own organization, start fostering data-driven culture that not only embraces AI, but also empowers every team member to leverage data in their daily decision-making? I'd like to thank the organizers of this event for all their hard work and inviting me to moderate. And I'd like to thank you for your session. And please, please help me thank Diana Schildhouse for her time and invaluable insights.
Thank you.